This is the Redox 5. It's Friday night, and I am Dr. Maureen Hayes from Galveston, Texas, and I am joined by our regulars, Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio, Texas. Jim is our big money man, and Ann is our beautiful personal trainer and nutritionist. And of course, we have Dr. Lee Osler, one of the top 100 doctors in the country and author of several books on redox health, including Redox Matters, where you can go to redoxmatters.com and watch archives and recordings of this show. And we have some fan favorites on tonight. It'll be interesting because I'm going to make them talk a little bit about our newest technology and how it applies to animals. But we have Dr. Marty Morin on, who we absolutely all adore, and we've been using his face. He's famous for putting one of our products on just half of his face. Hopefully, Jim, you've got that picture to put up. He's a research vet. So we were laughing because he was at the NIH doing his research there and working for pharmaceutical companies. So he's literally gone from the dark side, as many of us have, and seen the lights. We're going to hear a little bit about that and hear about his experiences. And then we have the beautiful Beth Wofford, who is the horse whisperer. She's a horse trainer in Kentucky and just has amazing experiences with these products, with her horses, and of course with their human friends as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like to hear a little bit of background, expand upon a little bit of what I have said. Maybe tell us how you got involved, how long you've been with ASEA, some of the highlights of what you've seen with the redox signaling molecules. And then if you can touch upon the Redox Gold, I don't know if you guys are using it for animals or not, but I'd love to hear about that. So ladies first, Beth, if you don't mind coming on and sharing some of your wisdom with us.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Dr. Hayes, ma'am. I have been associated with this fabulous company and this incredible technology and watched it change lives of all species for over 15 years now. I've found this company about 9 months before the official launch. And because I was so blessed to find it so early. I was kind of the first official professional animal person that was kind of designated, and I've kind of now become known as the animal person, which I just love. I think that's wonderful. I wear that hat very happily. But because of that, people who have any kind of animal story about redox, they usually get a hold of me. I have a Facebook page that is Healthy Redox Pets that everybody's welcome. And the only thing on there are wonderful stories about how redox has helped our many, many different species of animals. So it has been a labor of love. It's something that it's just so fascinating. And the thing about animals is you cannot placebo them. They don't overthink it. So oftentimes we see it work very quickly. All kind of redox products work very quickly with animals because they just don't overthink it. They're not sitting there saying, oh, this salt water can't work. They just feel better. And they know when they feel better, they start running when they see the blue bottle. And it's really, really exciting. So for those of your human friends that are skeptical and overthinking it, you might just show them a couple of animal videos. I also have several archived animal stories on animalwebinar.com, and it is a password protected. Maureen, can I give the password here?
Okay. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, perfect. It's associate with a capital A. So if you go to animalwebinar.com and put an associate with a capital A, and then it'll take you to archives, and there are over 40 different 30-minute videos there of all sorts of animal stories. So that's one way to share the animal stories, and another way is with the Healthy Redox Pets page on Facebook, which also is an invitation only just to keep us compliant in case someone says something that's not compliant with the FDA. But I always approve everyone. So, that you have to ask to be approved, and I check it every single day. So it never takes longer than a few hours for you to get approved into the site. So hopefully you can come there if you like animal stories. Yes, Jim?
Well, I know I wasn't going to say much, but Lee, if you don't, well, shush up. So Lee, do you mind popping in real quick and kind of explain why Beth just had to say what she just said, because this is for a human use only type stuff? And can you maybe kind of really cover that real quick?
Sure. We are all associates of a company called ASEA Global. This is a cellular health product that we're talking about tonight. in the form of redox signaling molecules. This redox technology in that supplement arena does not diagnose, treat, or cure, and so we don't make medical claims. This was developed for humans. As you probably already can guess, it works on all cells of all species, but this product is for humans, quote unquote. And so with that caveat and disclaimer, I'll send it back to Beth.
Thanks, Lee. And that's one of the things that I get asked about the most is how can I get my vet to offer this to all his clients? And the FDA, the veterinary arm of the FDA, is even more strict and stringent than the human arm of it. And it because this is classified as a human supplement, even though we know that it cannot possibly hurt you, it's completely 100% non-toxic. They can't market this as an animal supplement, something that your animal will help. Now, can they quietly talk to people and say, you might want to look at this? Obviously, they could possibly do that, but they cannot market it publicly. So the best thing you can do if you have a vet that you want to talk to about this and you want to open his eyes and you ask him if he's ever heard of Redox, which Marty will speak to in just a moment. Almost all vets, just like almost all doctors, right, Maureen, say, no, I don't know anything about it. And you say, oh, well, here, I can give you some information. And honestly, either they're too busy or they just simply don't want to look at anything alternative at all. But very often what I just tell people is I say, look, especially horse vets, because they know that people know that I'm horse oriented. Everyone that works with horses has been hurt. Everyone has issues and has late aches and pains and things like that. So talk to them as though they were a human, just a regular person that put their pants on the same one leg at a time, just like all of us do, and just talk to them about their own loved ones or themselves as far as helping them. And once that happens, you can connect the dots. When they say, oh my gosh, and when you hear Marty's story, that's exactly how he was brought into this. And then they say, my goodness, this is amazing. And you can start saying, it works the same on every living cell. So that's when you can start connecting the dots. Would you like me to talk something about Redox Gold in animals?
Well, you know what? First, I'd love to hear your favorite Redox animal story. And, I just want to add something to what you were saying because, vets, like you said, it is very stringent. We're good friends with our vet. And she was talking about some of the restrictions that they have that we don't have as physicians. It's very interesting. But most people own a pet. And when, and they're not really good at communicating what's going on. So when you can actually help somebody's pet get better, it really gets their attention. Because like Beth said, there is no placebo. It either works or it doesn't. They're not trying to please you just because you're giving them this pool water tasting liquid. So, use that for other people, not necessarily your vet, but for other people who have pets who maybe have a challenge. So Beth, tell us your favorite animal story.
Sure. And as a caveat to what you just said, a lot of people will spend money on their pets that they won't spend on themselves. So that's the other way to think of it. I had a dear friend that had an older dog who was, I think he was 12 or 13, but that's getting into, some dogs live longer than that, but he was really failing to thrive, I think is what they call it when an older dog starts going downhill. And he took his dog into the vet and said, what can we do? And the vet said, he's got advanced liver issues. And I just think that it's time. It really is time. It's his time to go. And of course it was crushing to this man. And he took his dog home and said, I just let me just take him home for the weekend and let the kids say goodbye to him. And we just have to, we have to go through the process. And the vet said, okay, fine, just bring him back in Monday morning. When they got him home, it was very early on in their ASEA journey. And they said, maybe this stuff, let's just give this stuff. I've been reading these stories about what happens to people and they say it's the same with animals. Let's just give them the stuff. And so they started giving him Redox, and he had trouble with his hind end. He was almost paralyzed behind. He was incontinent. He couldn't keep his bladder, control himself and things like that. So he was really, really hurting. He was whining and upset. And they started giving him with a syringe. They started out giving him with a syringe, the liquid Redox. And they just started doing it about every half an hour, every hour. They just would shoot probably, 15 cc's with a little plastic syringe in the side of his mouth, and he would swallow it. And then he started actually kind of looking like he was perking up. They offered him a little food, and he ate a little food, and they thought that was great. And then about an hour later, they offered him some ASEA in a dish, and he started drinking it out of a dish because he was thinking, again, they go, this stuff is great. This stuff is making me feel better. So he started drinking ASEA. They did this all weekend long. And I should have asked him, like, total, how many bottles of ASEA they gave him over that weekend. And literally by Sunday night, this dog was up and walking around and wagging his tail and eating healthy again. And he took him back to the vet, and the vet said, I have nothing to say to you. I have no idea what to do. We're happy for you. Take him home. And, this is not a panacea. This is not something that says your dog's going to live forever, because they took him home. He had a wonderful 6 more months, played with the kids. They said he's never been more active. He had this fabulous 6 months, and he died very peacefully. So that's just a lovely, lovely, I've heard that story so many times with older dogs. There's, of course, many stories of active disease that Redox has helped the body combat. But those sweet stories of end of life things where you can give your animal, a few extra, maybe 6 months, a year. I've heard some people say 2 years, and they just have this wonderful quality of life. What better gift can we give our pets? So I love those stories, but I have hundreds and hundreds more, but that's just one of my favorites.
I love it too. I'll never forget when we started giving it to our older labs, and they started jumping on the furniture again. And my husband was like, stop giving it to them. I was like, no, we want them on the sofa. But it is, it's tragic that they don't live as long as we do. It's tragic, and it's a blessing because we get to love so many more animals, those of us who are animal lovers. So I absolutely love that. But Dr. Lee, if you don't mind coming on, because we're talking about animals having challenges, and this is not a medical product, right? So do you mind giving the disclaimer?
Yes, we'll repeat that. We do not diagnose, treat, cure. This is a cellular health thing. And on that score, for people who are maybe new to this, you might be thinking of the question, or I'll suggest that you think about this question, and that is, what is it in a cellular health supplement that creates health, or that pulls people back from the edge of despairing health problems and challenges? And very much the answer is that we are all, and I include all species, that we are all designed in a way to survive. We have many compensatory, metabolic pathways that will kick in to compensate, but at some point in time, we begin experiencing the effects of time, aging, and just disease and inflammation and so on and so forth. And so the question is, what does the body do in response to that? And so we're, without getting overly deep in that, this is really about an organism's stress response. It's how they adapt to stress in the world as they experience it, and what they do to be able to survive that. The anti-aging researchers today kind of have a little colloquial term that they call about this is about how to activate survival and longevity genes. And so this redox signaling, these molecules that we're talking about, that we can now make in a laboratory and consume as a supplement, they reinvigorate, they restore the cell's ability to signal these pathway genes to turn on cell defenses. And when those cell defenses start to increase, improve, be less dysfunctional and so forth, then we get better, we stay better. And really this is kind of a health span as well as a lifespan concept, that the time, the beautiful example that Beth just gave about the last 6 months of this old dog's life, it had a much more enjoyable health span and was not propped up necessarily with, a boatload of interventions, medical interventions, in order to, keep them going. And so it's a wonderful, and it's like when you think about the human or the animal body, the systems, the metabolic pathways, and so forth. This is the way we were designed. This is the way we were created. This is the way we are. And what ASEA has is a supplement that mirrors and matches what those pathways are. These are the rules that operate in the cell. And, we don't just think that you need a supplement to be able to do all that, because this is really about a lifestyle. This is about the food you eat and the exercise that you get. And it's about staying clean and not having ultra processed foods in you all the time, and on and on. And then you add this top layer where I can actually, what we say is, move upstream and correct the dysfunctional metabolic pathways. With that, I'd like to just take the helm and for a second and toss it over to Dr. Marty. Tell us, I love your story. Tell us, because you were not a believer at first. You thought, I talk about my chicken bone. You had a big chicken bone because you were not a believer. So tell us how you thought.
Well, at least Dr. Osler's right. At the beginning, we had friends call us up and say they were using something new. It was helping them. Were we willing to learn about it? And so they were trying to tell me about redox signaling molecules. I had never heard the term. This was about almost 12 years ago now, going on 12 years ago. And it was not a term that was in my vocabulary, never heard about it. And here were these people telling me something about science when science was my career. And so I should have just backed away and said, get out of here. I would have already heard about it. Dr. Hayes would have probably said exactly the same thing when they came into her office. But something in me said, listen, watch the video, zip it, and see what you think after you watch their video, after you've had a chat with them. My wife Kathy and I found out that the product was 100% non-toxic. Beth has already said that. There is no toxicity to this. I can't tell you a veterinary drug or a human drug I would say that about. No toxicity. So let's just start right there. And so at the end of this little discussion and watching their video, I asked myself the question, what if they're right? Didn't make any sense to me, but what if they're right? Should I say no to this? I had all kinds of health challenges at the time. I was in discomfort every day, had an eye issue, had a prostate issue. I had all kinds of things wrong, and I was watching myself at 66 years old. You can do the math. I'm 77 now. So I was watching myself slide down the slope, and it seemed that I was sliding pretty fast. I was not happy about it. And so we got their product. We gave it a try. Within the first month, I would say to you, if you're new to this, give it 3 months. But Kathy and I were lucky. We both noticed things changing within the first month that kept us intrigued, kept us moving down the road. And my wife, Kathy, at the time of our starting, again, almost 12 years ago, had a 12-year issue with her legs, her feet, that was painful. That she was in discomfort. I can say that because this is before ASEA. And she started to use this technology, and within the first month, she noticed her body was changing some things. She wasn't talking to me about it because she didn't know if it was real yet. And meanwhile, I was having experiences that were surprising me, and things seemed to be going better. And I wasn't telling Kathy because I didn't understand it yet. And we both within a month knew that something seriously good was going on, and we were on a journey. But Dr. Osler's right. I mean, if there's a super skeptic in the world, it would have been me. I heard the story. It made no sense to me at all, but I tried it. And so if I have a caution for you out there, yes, this will sound too good to be true. One product, one technology that can basically help you from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet and all of your pets. Hello? That doesn't sound logical, but give it a try. Give it a try. Give it some time. Listen to the person who's introducing you to this. Do this trial of the new technology correctly. I will say in confession that I did it all wrong at the beginning. Almost anything I could do to kick and fight back against this, I did, and it worked anyway. Now, that's just luck. Don't count on that. Do it properly. Give yourself a real chance to have this technology work for you. Money back guarantee for 30 days. Get a lot of product, drink a lot of product, use a lot of gel, go crazy, and see what it can do. If you're not happy after 30 days, ask for your money back.
Marty, I have to ask, I'm going to show the picture. Why in the world did you do half your face? So I'm going to go ahead and pop up the picture because it's rather crazy. Why did you do that?
Well, this is a year on to our ASEA journey when the company came out with a topical gel form of the product. We call it Renew 28. And I was showing friends and family photographs, particularly older people in those days, older people's skin doing better. And they said, Marty, you're a fool. That's just a Photoshop image. That's not real. And so I'm a researcher. I have two sides to my face. So I put it on twice a day, one side of my face only. After 28 days, took a single photograph, which Jim just showed you. And so the side that got the gel, the right side of my face, was significantly less wrinkled. And what I would point out is that side where the mark, go back to the other side, Jim. That side with the marker is kind of wizened. Now go to the other side, and you'll see that it's actually thicker. It's actually fuller. Now, how did the cells, if there's nothing to this technology, how did the cells on that side react entirely differently to the cells that didn't get the gel? And as Dr. Osler's already told you, this is a cellular product. The skin cells had to decide to function better, had to be able to function better. But you know what? Some people have a problem with blood pressure, and that usually starts with the kidneys. Wouldn't it be better if your kidney cells worked a little better? Some people have a problem in a different organ system. Wouldn't it be better if those cells started to work better? You're watching it happen on half of one guy's face. Okay, doesn't mean a thing to you. If you give this technology a try, see what cells in your body you care about because you're worried about them, and then see what this technology can do. It doesn't fix you. Basically, what it does is announce. It finds the problems. The technology finds the problems and starts the process of asking the cell, hey, you're not doing this right. Get your act together. If you can't get your act together, we're going to replace you with another cell. And that's called healing. I can say healing because your body is doing it. Our bodies have to heal themselves. This technology is just making sure your body knows where the problems are.
Excellent. Hey, I was just going to add, whenever I share with somebody about what this does for animals, I send your 10-minute, you did a 10-minute animals healing naturally. That's a great little clip to kind of pique somebody's interest. And of course, go further than that once you got them interested. But we give the molecules to our 14-year-old dog, and we have literally seen him transform from where he was in 21. We thought we'd lose him. Last year, he had what appeared not paralysis, but he just couldn't move. And I had to try to lift him off of a porch into the house and didn't get movement. Within 30 minutes after giving him probably half a bottle, he was full movement, and he never went back to any troubles, and he still has a great appetite. Still has limitations, but he's definitely so much better than he was in 4 years ago. But I have people ask, well, how much should I give my 50-pound dog? And our dog's well over closer to 100. And I tell them, it's not based on weight. So maybe you can share. We give a typical day 4 ounces a day to our dog. So maybe you could share a little bit about some suggested for an animal. As far as,
Well, you're exactly right. It has nothing to do with weight. It has to do with cells. We're going to say this over and over again. If you would like better cell function, this is a technology you should learn about. And so you might have a small cat or a small dog, Chihuahua, whatever, really small, and you might have a Great Dane. You might have a horse like us running around behind Beth in that photograph. 1,000 pounds, 1,200 pounds. It is not about weight. And so when people ask me how much, I say, just like what you would say to your neighbor down the street. Your neighbor is going to be at least 100 pounds, probably, if not, some guys are over 200 pounds or more. And so what would you say to them? Because in my mind, it's not about weight. It's about how old you are and how big the need is. So a very sick child needs a lot of redox molecules. A very sick small animal needs a lot of redox molecules. A very healthy young horse on Beth's farm in Kentucky might not need any. So we need to look at age and need, and that tells you how much. So even if it's a small animal or even a bird, if it's really sick, you're going to have to try to work to get some molecules in there, and don't stop. Don't stop until the animal, what was the story, perks up.
Right. And in the beginning, they just may only liken to the syringe. I started our dog on syringe. He got so used to it. He'll lap it. He knows it's a ritual. When the Renew 28 is near him, he's ready he literally will lay down and go through the process. He knows it makes him feel better.
So, Marty, how do you go about introducing to someone brand new to their dog or cat? You've done that multiple times with me, with folks. How would you educate someone to introduce it to an animal that's not used to it?
They have to figure it out first. Are you assuming this person knows about ASEA already?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they have their dog. They just got their shipment in. Their dog isn't used to it. They take a sniff of it. They go, "Oh my God, there's that pool water stuff." So how do you get them to introduce it to the dog?
I would play a game. I would just make a game out of it.
Okay.
Find some treat, some food ingredient that they would snap up, put it down on a plate and watch it disappear. Put another one down on the plate, watch it disappear. Put one down on the plate with 5 drops of ASEA on it, it is still going to disappear. Put it down, another one down on just small bits of food down on the plate with 10 drops, 20 drops of ASEA. They're going to go through the ASEA to get to the treat. The game is on. Just make a game.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And Beth, what about? Oh, someone asked about. Do you recommend picking up their water bowl and then do the redox somewhere else so they can get used to that spot over here? And don't mix it with anything, correct? And no metal bowl.
Right.
Well, I just told you I'm mixing it with this food treat, right? Is that the way we want humans or animals to consume ASEA? No. we would like them to drink it straight. But
Right.
we have to get them trained past this sniff, right? Animals are going to smell the redox molecules. You and I probably can't, but the animals probably do, and they're backing away because they haven't been used to smelling redox molecules before. But once they get this experience that says, this stuff is good, I don't know what it is, but it's good, then they want some more.
Yeah.
Hey, Maureen, can you kind of touch on real quick, why is it with humans that some smell it, some don't? Some it tastes pool watery, some it just tastes like regular water. Can you maybe decipher that a little bit? You're muted. You're muted, Maureen.
Oh, I thought I unmuted. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Everybody's physiology is different. And, you know, one of the things that we learned early on, because when we got started, the taste didn't bother me at all. But my husband, who had been sick and had been on very heavy medications and all, it tasted putrid. And I was like, get over yourself, you know, put on your big boy pants. So everybody's at a different place, different levels of toxicity, different things. And so it's going to taste different. So as you're on it, as your body is getting used to it, it often loses that taste or it becomes less pungent. Now I can drink it. I don't even notice it. But I have noticed that, like, say, if I'm traveling and I'm eating poorly and maybe indulging, I'll drink it and it'll be like, oh, you know, I got to clean up my act. So it is interesting that you will taste that difference. And it's a hard sell because the worse it tastes, the more you need it. So just saying. But I did want to say something because it's interesting. My animals just took to it. You know, my dogs drink it out of a bowl. They have their ASEA bowl and then they have their regular water bowl. And we in our house, because we have a bunch of cats, had to go to the pouches because when I would pour a glass of ASEA, if I left it unguarded, I would come back and there'd be a cat head in my glass drinking my ASEA. They can't get into the pouches. It's a lot safer. But they love ASEA. They love the Renew 28 gel. And they love one cat loves the Redox Gold. So it's not supposed to be used orally, but so far so good. Piggy's still with us.
Well, we asked Beth to do an animal story a little bit ago, but you know, one of the things that's interesting about this technology is, as I said, it can help you from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet or your dog's nose to the dog's tail. Anything that's in need could be better. And Beth, you have a story of a horse, your husband's horse, behaving very nervous and badly. Can you tell that story?
Sure. It's actually on that animalwebinar.com. You know, the oldest webinars are down at the very bottom. So that is on my story. If you want to hear it in detail, I'll give you the cliff notes. We had a horse here, and as you mentioned before, we work with very young racehorses, so they're like kindergartners, and really at that age they really have a full complement of redox molecules in their system. So we use the products with I always liken them to 1,000-pound Labrador puppies because they knock into each other and they roll around and they crash into each other, and there's always somebody bumps their eye or somebody's got a big knee or something, you know. So we use it for things when they get hurt, but we don't consistently give supplement with it. But one of my husband's greatest love is steeplechasing. So we usually have a horse that he is getting ready to steeplechase, which is racing over fences. And those are older horses that have already run through their finished their flat racing career. And then we give them a new career with us running over fences. And they love it. They really enjoy it. We got one horse in here who was very, you know, you turn him out and give him a little bit of time off and he'd get fat and happy and he looked great, and you'd start him in training and he loved to train, but he would get really, really nervous and his coat would go dull. His his poop would get runny. He would go off his feed. He just got to where he'd get really nervous. He'd just jig all the way out to the gallop, and he'd get really upset. And I said, and this was way early on, and I said, let's just see what happens. I've heard that people who have anxiety, it calms them down. And so let's see what happens. That's really what we did almost exclusively at the beginning, because we had no tools. We just kept saying, let's see what happens. It's not going to hurt anything. So I gave him 4 ounces in the morning and 4 ounces at night. In about 5 days, it was almost a complete total transformation. His eye was soft, his ears came up, he walked out to gallop comfortably. He would gallop like a wild man. He'd come in easy, happy, ate up like just as anything we put in front of him. His coat got shiny. His poop got firmed up the way it was supposed to be. He was a healthy horse. So it was really remarkable. And again, you can't placebo that. You can't talk him into that. You can't say, quit worrying. There's something happened in his system that he found that homeostasis in his body through these redox molecules. His body was able to fix whatever was making him get worked up, and it was a pretty remarkable transformation, and it happened in about 5 days. It was amazing.
Hey, Beth, how did you give him 4 ounces?
That's a great question.
No, how?
With large animals. With large animals, we give because the redox cannot be mixed with anything, and it's very, very, very watery. Any kind of oral supplement you give to a horse that's made for that is real viscous and sticky, because you put it in their mouth and you can hold their head up for a certain period of time, but then they're going to try to spit it out. And when they did that every time I would do, because that's a natural thing horses do, and they would swallow a lot of it. And if you held their head up long enough, but those heads are heavy. If you held their head up long enough, a lot of it went in, but you drop the head and they would lose some of the product, which just killed my soul. So another friend of mine early on that had draft horses, he had working draft horses, and he said, I give it to him rectally, because the rectal tissue is very, very absorbent, just like the lining of the mouth. The molecules do not have to go through the metabolic system. They go immediately through the tissues and into the cells that are imbalanced, that need the balance from the molecules. So you give it rectally, it doesn't matter. It's going to go wherever it's needed. It doesn't matter which end it goes in. So I gave it to him rectally. He was, he didn't mind it a bit. And really, it bothers people more than horses. They don't care, it doesn't hurt. And so he was perfectly amenable to that. And we didn't lose anything. You put that in there and it's going to get where it needs to go. And he can't spit it out. So cool. It was really a remarkable.
That's helpful, because what I think people need to know, this can help us, not just all of your cells. In some cases here, this is going to start to influence hormones, and it's going to adjust behavior, just like for Beth's husband's jumper. But, the other story that you should tell, Beth, is about your own head issue at the beginning.
Great, sure. When I first started, I thought this was I loved the science behind it. I thought it was the most simple, elegant solution. You help the cells work better, the body's going to heal itself. I've been hurt a lot with horses. My body has magically healed. So at a very early age, I have a tremendous respect for the human body's ability to heal itself when it has the proper tools. So when you can have something that's so pure and is so fundamental that our bodies make anyway, it just made so much common sense to me. But I didn't think I needed it, because I thought I was 100% healthy. We've been training horses our whole lives. We were riding horses, and I didn't think I needed it to fix anything. I started telling everybody about this stuff because I thought it was the coolest thing ever, but I didn't expect it to fix me, because I didn't think it was a problem. I have had a very, very severe I would get terrible head pain, discomfort. I'm trying to be very compliant here. And
it was before ASEA, so you can actually say that.
Okay. But since I was 11 years old, I would have these terrible one-sided headaches. I would go blind first, and then it would hit the part of my brain that was expressive aphasia. I couldn't speak. And so I had about 20 minutes to get into a dark room, and I would be absolutely miserable, could not function for 2 days at least. That had been going on about every 6 to 8 months. Luckily, it didn't happen very often, but when they did, I was wiped out. So it did that from the time I was 11 years old on. I would get these horrible headaches. No medication had ever touched them. I tried it. I'd had every test in the world. My dad was a scientist, and he had access to all sorts of medical, new medical things, and nothing had ever helped it. So it never occurred to me. It was sort of like, no, we can't help those headaches because nothing ever has. But it's going to I'm going to be able to stay younger longer. This is going to be great, but it won't do anything for my headaches. And I had a friend. I said, after about 10 days, I started thinking, something I just feel really, really good. Well, it's about 6 to 8 months. After about 6 months, I said, when was my last headache? And I started thinking about it. And then the story gets better every year, because that was 15 years ago from my first sip of ASEA. I have not had one of those headaches. And if
Since
you knew
11, since age 11,
age
people.
11, that was 100 years ago. It was amazing.
Hey, real quickly, we have a new technology that just came out. Can you kind of go through a real quick snapshot of the Redox Gold, and then Beth and Marty, can it be used on animals? Lee?
Yeah, this is an exciting, really an exciting advancement. I've been waiting for this for many months, years, telling them that if they can tackle the metabolic pathway that starts with an I and produces the P word and all those things, then we'll really have something here. And I believe that we're there. The Redox Gold is the name of the product, and it has particles of gold in the gel. Thank you, Marty, for holding that up. It's a large particle gold suspended in a redox gel, and it enhances, the gold catalyzes, or I like the word potentiates, it enhances the effect of the redox signaling molecules on very specific pathway genes. We call them the NRF2 and the NFKB. So again, that's your survival and longevity genes, and coming out from both sides, coming from an antioxidant as well as the inflammatory side. And we all know what happens when we have a lot of the I word going on in us. We get swollen joints and sore muscles, and we are lethargic, and we're tired, and we just feel yucky, and it precipitates a lot of variety of diseases. There's a lot of chronic degenerative diseases associated with just systemic, inflammatory burden. Well, imagine what would happen if you could catalyze the redox signaling molecules' effects on these pathways, on these redox cell switches that turn on and off these pathway genes, where you can upregulate and you can downregulate these cellular functions, or block or inhibit the dysfunctions that are occurring. This is a profound advancement that we have. And so we're excited about it, and it's in the Redox Gold. It's a topical, it's not internal, but it is topical. And we're starting to see so many stories. Again, we live and thrive off of people's experiences, right? And so we're excited about that. And I've got some grandkids in here, sorry.
Chat in the background.
Aw,
I saw you.
cute.
Oh,
We've got some
Yeah.
great stories.
Awesome. Awesome.
Go ask Grandma. We've got a lot of stories that are starting to happen, and it's confirming what the science told us to look at, and so that's fun.
Okay, so Marty and Beth, what about animals?
What have you seen?
Well, first,
Anything yet?
earlier this week, I called Marty and I said, I really would love to have something to say about animals and Redox Gold. First and foremost, of course, it works the same on every living cell. So it's going to work on our animals. The issue we have with any kind of topical is getting it through down into the skin. So in order for it to work on some kind of a swelling or heat that you have in the body, you would really have to shave the hair off, and not very many people will go that far. With our Renew 28, which is our other gel, that's broad spectrum. So you can rub it inside their ears, you can rub it anywhere, and on the bottoms of their feet, and it's going to go into wherever it's needed in the body. This is such a targeted approach, and the mode of action is so specifically targeted to a specific location that really, unless you shave that hair and get it over the area that it needs help, it's going to be hard to make that happen. So so far we haven't found out. I am absolutely certain we have this amazing group of in our ASEA community. Everybody tries it on everything because it's so, and there's no doubt we're going to have some wonderful stories. We just haven't gotten them yet as far as animals go.
Well, and we've only had it on the market for what, Maureen?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, so I mean,
Very
give
good.
us some time. Marty, what do you say?
Well, the way I look at this, I'm going to do a history dive here. Before Kathy and I got started with ASEA, 2012, the liquid product wasn't in the blue bottle at that time, but the liquid redox molecules were being kind of pointed toward athletic performance. But it works from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. A couple of years later, about 5 years later, they came out with the topical gel Renew 28. And they were focusing in on skin. And yes, it had some marvelous effects on skin. It was giving all kinds of really high marks for helping skin do better. But it could help you from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, and all of our animals. And now we've got the Redox Gold product, still redox molecules in here. There's molecular gold in here. Molecular gold has been used for therapeutic benefits for thousands of years. Gold is known to work, especially with the I word and the P word that Dr. Lee was pointing to. Gold is a big deal. And so you've got the ingredients here to help discomfort. And animals have discomfort. The question will be, just like Beth said, where do you put it? And are you willing to shave your animal's hair coat? If you are, you will probably come up with a lovely story. But you know what? So when the product came out, Kathy and I bought a bunch of it because we have a team that, we need to distribute it here and there. But I've been on Redox molecules, both liquid and topical gel, Renew 28 for nearly 12 years. I do not have discomfort. I just don't. And so it was a little hard for me to test it. On myself. I was testing it on all kinds of other people. They were all having marvelous results and quickly, as we've already heard about. What I have noticed from using it, if my neck gets a little tight, I've been putting the gold on my neck. And what I have noticed so far myself is that I can reach part of my back that I wasn't able to reach a few weeks ago. So, my joints are limbering up and I have more range of motion than I had a little while ago. We will have, I guarantee it, we will have animal stories. What we have to figure out is, do our ASEA community, does the ASEA community know their animal well enough to know where the discomfort is? Say a German Shepherd and hips. And then somebody's going to get brave enough to take out a pair of clippers, and they're not going to care what their vet says. It's your dog. If you're willing to clip the hair off, and slap some of this gold on there and see what happens. But I'm going to predict for you that we will have, just like we're having a large collection of human recovery stories, we're going to have the animal recovery stories that are companion to it. That's been true with the liquid product. That was true after the topical gel came out. That this is a Marty guarantee. I guarantee it's going to happen with the gold as well. People just have to get clever enough to figure out how to do it. And the caution we all should have, even for the humans, is you have to know where to put it. And we have a pain specialist in the house tonight, so Dr. Hayes probably should talk about this, but I remember I did something silly on my boat one time and I messed up my lower back. But where did the discomfort hit me? The discomfort hit me down my entire left leg, was incapacitating. All right, so if I had had this at the time, I didn't. But if I had had this at the time, where would I put it? On the leg? No, it should have been put on my lower back. Dr. Hayes, can you talk to that?
Yeah, that's a great point, Marty. We call that referred pain or radicular pain. And, I tell people you put it where it hurts and where the hurt's coming from. Because even when I was using it for my hip, that was causing me a lot of distress. Initially, I asked the scientists if I was their control because it wasn't doing anything. It was working beautifully on my fingers, but I thought maybe that was a placebo. And what I realized was it's a fairly large joint. Excuse me. So I had to apply it over the back, over the side, over the what's called the trochanter, down into the groin. And I started applying it to my lower back too, just in case there was some nerves getting in on the act as well. And doing that and being very consistent with it, almost religious with it, twice a day, whether I felt anything or not, I will tell you, it's like a whole new hip. I mean, I love it. And sometimes when I kind of forget or I get lazy, I will get a little reminder. It is cumulative. There is some recovery going on. But you know what, you guys, if you keep doing the things that are hurting, it's kind of like if you hit your thumb with a hammer, first you want to stop hitting your thumb and then you can take care of what's going on. But if you keep doing the activities that aggravates it, you're going to have to keep using the gel. So for right now, I just use it religiously, whether I feel anything or not, twice a day. And I get all of the areas like
Stay ahead of it. You're staying ahead of it.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Our beloved
and
Jerry White.
This is something else I think we will see. I am not on the medical board like Dr. Osler. I think Dr. Hayes is on there too. I'm not on the medical board. I have no inside track here. This is just another Marty prediction. Let's call it a prediction. That we have this oxidative process that Dr. Osler was talking about going on in other parts of our body. And sometimes those oxidative challenges that are manifesting, it would have a name in a medical book, but they don't cause discomfort, but they are oxidative. And so, again, Marty doesn't have a lot of discomfort. I am going to go take my Redox Gold to the parts of my body I know aren't perfect, but have an oxidative process that could manifest in discomfort at some point. And I'm going to do what Dr. Hayes is doing. I'm going to be proactive there and put the topical gel where I could end up with a discomfort like I had a couple years ago after I made a mistake on my boat.
Maureen, we're getting close to the end. We have to transfer this to Mr. Doyle. Do you mind sharing your favorite story? I'll never forget it when you and Joaquin were with Vertus Norton. way back in the beginning, and you asked him his most amazing story, his testimonial. Do you mind sharing that real quick?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. It was really interesting because we were pretty skeptical, two physicians, and we're out to dinner. It's the founder of the company. Had I just realized, what an amazing man he was and what an impact he would have on my life. But here we were, and he was just sharing stories. And I said to him, "Can you share your favorite experience with these redox molecules?" And he said, "Yes." He said there was a woman who was incontinent, and she got on the products, and suddenly she didn't have that problem anymore. And I thought, that's an interesting story. And I said, wow, that's your favorite? I said, that? And he said, yes, because it's about human dignity. He said the product gave her dignity back.
Mhm.
And I was like, just so blown away by that, just the sensitivity and the empathy that he had for another human being, to see that was really affecting her life. And I'll tell you what, I have an elderly aunt. I cannot get her to drink this, but she's going through the same thing, and she doesn't leave her house because she's embarrassed. You guys, sometimes it's the little things. We all want people to, we want to cure everything and excuse me, help them grow another leg and all this stuff. But sometimes it's just writing the little things that can make such a huge impact in people's lives. And I'll tell you, as a pain doctor, to have something like this Redox Gold that takes away discomfort and it's 100% non-toxic is amazing. Now, we've had Renew 28 for years. And like I say to people, sometimes you can get by with a Tylenol or an Advil. Sometimes you need the big guns. So don't give up on your Renew 28. But when you need something more, you need something more. And now we have it. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to approach this. We've got such little time, but we have one of our associates, Judy McDaniel, that is a PT physical therapist, and she was thrown from a horse 4 years ago, I believe. And being on the product, a lot of her discomfort went away, but she was also having a low oxygen level at night, and like in the 70s. And she, because of a lot of the veins in her legs were getting better, she knows that the flow of blood was a lot better, and that's what kept her alive. But what was really amazing, y'all, is that she didn't realize how much better she could feel by being on this product. She didn't know what it would feel like to not have the discomfort. And how many people out there are suffering? Maureen, you saw that. I mean, again, I was on 500 pain pills a month with my back issues, and that had to be so frustrating for you as a doctor. And Maureen, Lee, you have so many people that have so many mouth issues that their mouth hurts, but yet we've become accustomed to that discomfort, that it's our new normal. You want to say anything to that in a minute?
Can I just share something real quick? Y'all, not everybody's going to have an instant response to this, and I just want to share that my sister, who has sort of a chronic condition, she's excuse me, she's double jointed, and it affects all of her joints. And it's a connective tissue issue. So everything hurts. And so when she initially got on this, everything hurts from the top to the bottom. And she said, it's not really helping me. I need to go get steroid shots or whatever. And I said, just keep using it. Y'all, it was 3 weeks. And she called me and she said, I don't want to jinx anything, but I think this stuff works. Now she's singing its praises. So expect a miracle. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Expect it to work quickly, but if it doesn't, don't give up on it. It's going to do what it's going to do. You got to get it, like we were saying, to where the pain is coming from. And if you've got a lot of different issues, it may take a lot of the gel and a lot of consistency, but stay with it. Okay. So
yeah,
what if what we're telling you is correct?
Right.
Do you want a chance and miss this? It's all the products. The company has great products to help your cells. That Kathy and I will be on this product until our last day on the earth.
That's right. Great stuff.
Well, guys, thank you. I'm waiting for Danny Doyle to pop on. Turn your camera on, Danny, so I can make sure you're on, or do I need to promote you?
Jim, there's some Redox stories popping up in the
Yeah,
chat.
I know.
Anyone that has a Redox story, please put it on Healthy Redox Pets
Wow,
on Facebook, please, and we can share it with everybody. Thank you.
that's it. That's right.
All right, guys. Well, Dr. Marty, the horse whisperer, Beth Wofford, thank you. As always, we so greatly appreciate
It's
it.
great.
Dr. Osler, your granddaughter was adorable.
Yeah.
Maureen, where's your cat?
I know.
Your cat's usually wandering all over you. Hopefully Doily can come on right now. But guys,
He said
next
put his
week,
hand up. He said to
Oh, he
promote
did?
him. His hand is
Okay.
up.
okay, I forgot to send Dan the invite. Next week we have a gift. We've had her on once before, and it's Dr. Marion Sides. And I'm going to challenge you guys to come back and see her. She is a NASA. Do you know much about her, Maureen? Her credentials are through the roof. She's NASA.
Aerospace. Yeah.
Aerospace
medicine.
PhD.
She's, I believe, a colonel in the Air Force or one of the branches. I mean, she has got so many different credentials, and she's, adorable. You just don't expect it. She's incredible and just an unbelievable knowledge. So
she's off the charts, way smarter than, except for you and all of you. Anyway, guys, this has been, I lost track of what I was going to say. So guys, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you. Please come back and join us next Friday. We're here every Friday. We try to get people lined up. It may seem like sometimes we say some of the same stuff, but I believe we're saying it to a different audience. So please continue to invite new people to come here. That's why we're doing this. It's a pay it forward thing. It's exactly what Danny Doyle is doing now. He has, if not one of the most remarkable, not only health transformations, but also business.
Yeah.
So stick around and listen to the amazing Dan Doyle. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording.